to Let's Talk, guys. We're so happy to have you joining us here on a lovely Tuesday evening. And here at Let's Talk, we like to talk about issues that matter to you, where we try to come up with workable, practical solutions so we have more action and less talk. I'm your host, Jason, and we don't have our co-host in the evening, Sherilyn, but we have two able-bodied gentlemen who were here last week, and we had to get them back to finish our conversation. We start off with our brother in the red right here. Let him introduce himself.
Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Sidney Ballard, and I am one of the guests here today. I am a teacher by profession. I am a mechanic by trade and a coach by love, again.
My name is Ben Ferguson Jr. I'm a visual artist and educator and entrepreneur.
Awesome. So the conversation was so nice, so hot, so heated. Last week, we had to bring the gentleman back in the show, back in the studio, so we could continue with our topic and hopefully we'll be able to get into all that we need to. And just before I go on, if guys, we'd be appreciative if you join us in the chat. Just drop a comment and we'll read it live, or even better still, give us a call. 352-8255. We'll be glad to hear from you on the show. And our topic for this evening, part 2, is Life Through a Man's Eye, part 2. And before I go on, let me just preface this. Hold on. The views and the comments of the show does not necessarily reflect that of the producer or Let's Talk. All right, just want to get that out of the way. So, let me start off by saying, I believe that the majority of our ills that we face in society stem from real men being out of place. You know, fathers not in the homes or not active in their children's lives. To me, fathers prepare children for the world by providing logic, discipline, and structure, while mothers provide the emotional and nurturing aspect they need. Without one or the other, the child will be imbalanced. Leaving the burden to mothers alone, we see very emotional boys who react to their feelings with little to no restraint and lack of respect for authority. They are feminized. And then we see daughters that are more promiscuous with low self-esteem and trust issues. They tend to take on more masculine traits because they watch their mom having to fend for themselves. So she had to do what she had to do so they could survive. Boys are taught how to treat women, but not what to expect from a woman. Girls are taught what to expect from a man, but not how to treat and support that man. Boys growing into men not knowing how to lead or provide, and girls not knowing how to submit and respect to men. All this because we men, we were out of place. So all the fall, I believe, started with us. Now, we didn't continue it. We had some help continuing this fall, but we ain't getting into that. We can just talk about strictly the men's side. So, guys, that was a lot I said just now. Y'all want to start join in where we left off, or we could continue on with this conversation. I won't be the only one here talking because y'all guys got a lot to say. Sure of that.
That last part that you said was strong. I could really dive deep into that.
Go ahead, my brother. That's what we're here for. They say that's what they want here.
So you're saying that, based on what I'm gathering from what I heard, is that because men are out of place, boys are not taught properly how to be a man and what to expect from a woman.
Correct.
And then girls are not being taught how to treat a man, not just what to expect from a man.
Correct.
That is true. I believe that's true. Because there's a lot of things, a lot of narratives, a lot of voices perpetuating that you need to do this and you need to do that and you need to get him to do this and da-da-da-da-da. Right?
Right.
Not every girl is hearing that. But that's basically what's out there for most of them to hear unless they have sobering women in their lives.
Correct.
Or men, more particularly, too, who could reinforce how you treat a man, how you keep a man, how you prepare yourself to be your wife, how do you handle being in a relationship when you're with somebody.
Right.
You know, not just thinking that their body is all they have to give and their beauty or fake beauty is what we only desire.
Right.
You know, so when it comes to the boys, we have to continue to talk to them.
Yes.
It's a different approach for each other to deal with boys, and even different types of boys. Because not every boy is rough, not every boy is rebellious, not every boy is disrespectful.
True.
You have some boys who are more calm.
Yes.
There's some more boys who just stay inside and so forth. They have different interests. So I think that too we have to unpack. How do we deal not just with boys who are rowdy, troublesome, mischievous, but how do we not put down those boys who aren't as loud, who aren't as to the forefront? Because we have a lot of emotional imbalances with boys today,
Yes.
not just with anger, but with depression, with insecurities and feeling insufficient. And then that is slip into the whole aspect of being what? Like you said, feminized.
That's right.
Because that's an easier route
Yeah.
to get into that mood. But I can start talking right there.
Listen, he come ready. He ready for this conversation. I just want to say, first of all, before I make my comment, I just want to say to the man out there, what I always do, I always want to start positive. I just want to say that you guys a lot of you are doing a good job. And
Yes.
just know that, that we are proud of you.
Yes.
Continue to do the job that you're doing.
Yes.
All right. But that last point too, what you said, Jason, that stood out to me, and that hit me like a ton of bricks. Girls are taught, but the boys aren't taught how to, actually be a man. And when I think back on my personal life, there was no father in the home, so I had a mother, and my mother used to say, "I'm the mother and the father," which is a lie.
Yes,
because
incorrect.
she can't teach me how to be a man.
That's
she only
right.
could teach me from what she knows. And the question now is, if she can't teach me, and I'm a male, how do I know now how to teach my son to be a man?
Yes.
Where do I get it from?
Right.
And growing up, where I get all of my morals and stuff from? Streets. Streets taught me.
Hard knocks.
And I was thinking about it last night, growing up, and where I grew up, it was rough. I'm talking about drugs and violence, gangs. It was hard. You had the hard knock life you had to live. And things, what they teaching you guys is basically survival.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's survival of the fittest. Forget, it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Right.
So thank God for the church.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Yes,
God
sir.
for the church, because
Yes,
when
sir.
I got into the church and I realized that the stuff that I've been feeding myself for almost 15, 16 years was trash. So I almost had to reprogram my mind.
That's what it is.
Thank God I ended up with a godly woman as well, and now we can raise a beautiful family, and
Yes.
my kids are doing really well.
Yes, sir. Balance, right?
Balance.
See, and the thing is, right, I could identify with what you're saying, growing up rough. And what you see the men around there doing, you figure that's what a man is.
Right.
Womanizing, violence, and hard. And then you grow up and you realize that women don't really want that stuff. So, but this is all you know. So they expecting you, some of them expecting you to come and cater to them, be sensitive and baby them up and call them baby and, and just be soft with them. But you don't know soft.
Right.
You don't know what that is.
Right.
And in fact, when you acting soft, you feel like you gay.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You feel, hold on, who see me doing? Who hear me talking sweet nothings? Who hear me saying, I love you? Because you don't see that model.
Right.
So that's a struggle with a man have. Okay, how do I shut this off? Now to treat my woman the way she wants to be treated.
Even now, right? Even in the schools, right? Because, we teach, we deal with young men. I got several of my students on right now. And with them, when I try to tell them about being a one-man, one-woman guy,
Right.
it'd be like, you crazy? What
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Something wrong
with you.
You got to be a lover
That's
boy.
taboo.
It's crazy that they think, I used to think like that
Yes.
too, that you got to be a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have more than one woman. If you ain't got more than one woman, something wrong
Something
with
wrong
you.
with you. That's it.
You got two women, use a lover.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Use the thing what's
It
going
was
around.
glamorized.
Use the
Yeah.
it.
That's
you
where the
have to.
affirmation is happening though. When we living and trying out these things that we used to seeing, and we hearing about, and that's when the man affirm you in it.
Right.
So
Right.
we think that's the right way because we get affirmed from other males on doing the thing that's actually starts off to break down families.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
You know?
Right.
Yes. And they only modeling what they saw done because,
Exactly.
and like I say, it stemmed from the fathers not being in the home. So now the streets have to raise us, and the guys who on the streets raising us,
Yep.
and they providing the wrong examples, but we don't know that, and all we're looking for is affirmation. Boys always want other men who they look up to say, boy, you hard, but you got it. And wherever we can get that, we don't want that from mothers, right? I mean, because that's a norm. We can get that. And the
Yeah.
mothers will give you that baby love. But if I turn it into a man, you want to feel accepted and affirmed by men.
Yep.
Because
definitely.
honestly, women, y'all did a hell of a job trying to raise us boys, right? Because my mommy had 5. She did the best she could do. But when my testosterone started flowing, them hormones start kicking in, and she can't identify with me.
Right.
She don't know what I going through as a boy
Right.
growing into a man, so she can't talk to me.
Right.
You know, and as we continue this conversation, guys, I promise I can do better this week. We will get to all your comments. So, Mr. Producer, if the comments come in there, just give me the send up the bat signal and we can read the comments, because we had a few last week that after I watched the show later, I wished I read them online because the chat was hot.
Yeah, it was
The
hot.
chat was hot.
It was hot.
And I apologize for missing it, but I will do better this week. So, yeah.
Let me just say, the affirmation point is so important. Let me give you a story. In the neighborhood where I grew up, there was a group of guys who was hanging out on the corner. And where I used to live, it was one big circle. You could circle around from, you had your vehicle, you could circle around from one end to the next. So this group of guys was in the corner there, right to the peak of the arch on the circle. So when I saw them there and I saw the police car was coming around slowly, you know what I did? And this was just taught by music, by the streets. It's not like they told me this what to do.
Unwritten code.
Just right, it's an unwritten code. So I went there and I was like, yo, the man coming, just like that.
man.
And when I say that, everybody break off. Everybody break off running, right? So when the police car came around, everybody was already gone. And then I saw one of the guys drop their glasses. And I picked it up. Mind you, the police came around and they saw me there. I guess they realized I was young, I wasn't doing anything, and they passed straight. So I picked up the glasses and I was giving it to one of the guys, and they was like, no, this such and such glasses. So when I gave it to him, you know what he did? He was like, he said, yeah, man, thank you, shorty. He said, man, listen, he going rub me on my head. He said, man, good job, man, good job. You know, we could need soldiers like you in our army. And that felt good.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Felt good. Knowing that, hey, these guys, they looking out for me. And if I get myself in trouble now, I could call on
That's
them.
right.
It's crazy.
That's
It's
right.
crazy. And that's what a lot of young guys and stuff is going through.
Right.
Affirmation in the wrong area.
Yeah. See, and all because the father, your father wasn't there to do that for you.
Exactly.
Because if your daddy was there, he'd have then given you the affirmation, so you wouldn't have been looking for it in the
Exactly.
streets, you know?
Exactly.
But women, I don't think they know the struggles we go through. You know, they think we have life on easy mode, right? Because they see guys out there not caring or having dropping babies everywhere. And to them, some of them just feel we have life on easy mode. So I just want to talk about some of the struggles from I see, right? And you all could chime in anytime. Some of the struggles what we go through as men. And one, I think the main one is being faithful. You know, lust. You know, a woman may never understand how much of a struggle this is for men. We are driven by sight. Our testosterone is have us tripping sometimes. This is one of the main reasons why only a man can raise a boy to a man. Because we can identify with his struggles. We struggle with lust like a woman struggles with taking accountability. Now, that's a little joke. That was just a little joke. But, okay, like how women struggle with probably gossiping. We know women love to talk. That's a real struggle for them. But because it isn't as demonized as cheating, I think it's more accepted. Because we only talking, but they don't realize that's a struggle for them. But so I would equate their struggle not to talk and be in people's business. I'd equate that to our struggle with lust. And I even think that's an understatement, because that's a real problem with us, for us. And one of the things I always tell this story, right? I heard this 80-something-year-old pastor saying how he still was struggling at that age with staying faithful with his eyes. And that really hurt me because I was saying, Lord, when I can get over this? When these eyes can stop betraying me, right? And to hear that even into his 80s, he still had to govern that, I say, my God, you mean for the rest of my life, I'm gonna have to be going before God to help me keep these eyes in check? And for a man, that's a real problem. So ladies, if you have a husband out there who's faithful, applaud him.
Yeah.
If you see him trying to keep his eyes in check, support him, applaud him, and just lift him up, because that's a real struggle for us. And even if he has messed up, as long as he's repentant and he wants to make amends with it, of course he got to do the hard work to get back in your good graces, build the trust back up. As long as he's willing to put in the hard work with him, because it's a real struggle to keep these eyes in check, especially the way these women dressing.
Yep.
Especially if they know you're a good man and doing your job, they throwing themselves on you.
Yeah.
Jezebel's them out there, they real. And ladies, you all see them. I know you all see them because you always be looking at Jesus, that woman wearing, look what she
You
wearing.
can't just say that they see them because some of them are them.
Yeah.
I just saying, sometimes some people have certain seasons in their life. You know?
Yes.
When they do different things, or they are a certain type of way, or they may be still in it today, but but it is a struggle for men. We do struggle with that. That is common.
Yes.
I mean, even if we look, I mean, all in the Bible, man. I mean, you go from David,
Yes.
Joseph had it. And
Solomon.
I think it was Job. Job said, I made a covenant with my eyes so that I may not sin against you.
Yes.
What's the 7 deadly sin? The lust of the eye, the pride of life.
Yes.
Like these
Yes.
things, like lust for man is a real serious thing. Women, and we want you to know that it's a struggle for us.
It is a big struggle.
It's a big struggle. We trying. I mean, Solomon, how much he had? He had, 700 wives and 300
Yeah,
concubines.
too many.
2,000.
I mean,
He had one for 3 years each.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate thing is that women know it's our struggle.
Yes, they do.
And they know it's our lure.
Yes.
So this is why they do certain things to bring us in, to
Yes.
get our attention.
Yes.
They don't even want to talk much.
No.
Because when we see stuff, it talking to us and we talking with it, all in our head. And it's like, whoa. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then when they communicate with their eyes or something, that's another story. That's a whole another conversation.
Right.
So that is a deep struggle for men.
Listen, I had to discipline myself, right? Because, with men, there's certain body parts that we like.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Some like the upper part, some like the lower part,
yeah.
some like the bottom part, right? So I had to discipline myself that when I speak into a woman, and regardless of how she's dressed, whether it's modest, whether it's sexy,
definitely.
I always looking at her in the eye.
I recognize.
Because if you missing, go down.
Oh, yeah. Look at him.
You missing, go
You wouldn't
down.
believe who's checking me out.
Yeah, look at that. That's the
Okay,
pastor.
the pastor
That's
said
the
he-
church
I see- I
pastor.
catch him looking.
You catch him. You know what I mean? And sometimes they do it so you could look.
Trap.
When they go and they finish, they walk off and they put on this
switch.
walk. And that's why when I see them walk up, I turn my head.
That's right.
I see them come in the room, I don't give them no attention.
Yeah. None.
None. Because I know what they trying to do.
A lot of them out there,
I know exactly
what they call them a
trying to do.
thirst trap. A lot of them out there, and they offended unless it's the right guy. They can dress. Well, why are you looking at me? I ain't dressing this way for him.
Right.
Why y'all can't control their life? Why my dress good? No, man. Y'all know what y'all doing, and y'all offended when the wrong guys. But if it's the right guy who they put the outfit on, oh, you're crazy, the big head, But we ain't want to put the blame because they can say, look at it, talking about a woman again.
Yeah.
No, I mean there's a two-side backlash to that. So if you don't give, some women expect you to give them attention, and if you don't, then they may say that you like mine.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
then-
Yes.
And then the other side of that is depending on how, I guess I don't want to say certain, how intentionally are about getting you or getting your attention or causing something to happen. They will fall in love with the fact that you didn't give them that attention.
Yes.
Because a lot of men are falling into those traps with
I
women.
hear you are different, playing hard to get. Oh, I gotta get him now.
Yeah,
I gotta break him. I gotta get him.
I gotta be the one. I gotta see, And then there's the whole spirit of jealousy that may come about too. Like, unbeknownst to you as a man, that they don't like to see that someone is enjoying what you are offering to them. So they try
want
that. They want
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Or they want to at least stop that person from having that because they're not having that.
That's right. That's
So that's,
Jezebel
and that's
spirit.
fall all on us.
Yes, to be the gatekeepers, right? Welcome to Let's Talk, caller. Tell us what y'all got to say about this topic, life through a man's eye.
Well, listen, controversy.
What you saying? What you saying, Vito?
Hey, you're too nice on the show. Hey, controversy.
Man, look at we welcome it, bro. Bring it on, bring it on. They need to hear it.
Well, listen, let's talk about, you know, it is what it is, man. You have eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You may, some may say it's a struggle, but let's put it for what it is, right? Like, culture, I think this my opinion, I could be wrong, because even biblically, there ain't really much emphasis on it. Culture pretty much dictates, and when it comes to even more than one woman. Because if you look at the Bible, Jacob had his wife. In fact, I know this one there, this reason, and then God is talking to him, and God is like, hey, the son of your mistress, this mistress will do this. The son of this mistress will do that. The son of this mistress. Then I go and say, the son of your wife. So I'm like, woman, God, you acknowledging the mistress? You ain't even saying, I let you with David. God didn't say why you cheat on your wife. God get married to David for sleeping with another man's wife. You know what I mean? So, and like I said, you be wrong because biblically, and like I get there, y'all like to see the face, y'all face, y'all should see y'all face, y'all don't.
Oh, trust me.
I even do that. Jesus came from the house of David.
Mm-hmm.
Right or wrong?
You're right.
From the line.
David, the house of Jesse. Right or wrong?
Right.
Yeah. Go on. Uh-huh.
The house of who? Judah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Who was Judah, mommy?
It wasn't Rachel.
No, it wasn't.
Rachel, it was.
What's to do?
Come on, it wasn't Rachel. It wasn't Jacob's wife.
Go ahead. Tell us.
Hold on, was the one who was before Rachel?
It was the
Leah?
mistress. Ain't no wife, it was the mistress.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, even when you break it down, and guess what? Everything is God's son. You understand what I'm saying? Jesus didn't come to a form of marriage, a wife, and a husband. Break it down. So, I'm just saying, like I can break your head up today.
Now,
Yeah, Jesus. Anyway, go on, finish.
finish. Go ahead. Finish.
I think culture dictated when it comes to man and wife or man and mistresses and so on. Because even when Jesus was like, I remember Jesus was talking about the divorce portion, and he was like, yeah, it's okay when it comes to cheating or so on, but there wasn't much emphasis on it. You understand what I'm saying? Like I say, I know it's correct and very wrong.
We will. We will. Go ahead. Continue. We let you speak. Go ahead.
To me, it's more of a cultural thing because you have some cultures today that's still okay with more than one wife.
Yeah. Polygamy. Some places is accepted.
Now, for me, I tell people, look, today, I say like, when you have more than one woman, you rich. It's a rich man's voice. That's headache, nagging, and so on. So, yeah, one day behind you, at this age, I ain't it. There's too much headache and too much money you gotta be spending.
To me, one is too much sometimes. I say one is too much for me to handle sometimes. I can't see.
Just want to get away with it from the one, yeah. So mine is two and I'm a trader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I watch it. So like I said, let's go ahead and rip up the shoulder, but you know, because Sharon, y'all get Sharon ain't even watching the guy.
No, man. Don't say it, man. Don't even say that. Sharon right there lurking. She lurking. She just see what come on because she say, y'all is rough up.
Oh my Lord, she mean that there. All right then.
Yeah. All right, Vito. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So, Sid, you wanted to say something?
I want to just say, and he's right. Culture dictates relationships and marriage and all that. The culture dictates a lot of things.
A lot of stuff.
But what are you gonna go by? What is the standard? You know, that's exactly what I was saying earlier when I was talking about when I had no father figure who
Right.
was growing me up, where I was getting my information from.
Right.
Culture, the streets, right? So, and I know he's just doing this just to add a little flavor to the show, which is fine. But even, let me just give an example. Even with Uriah, with David,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when he's talking about David, David messed up his
Big
best man.
Big time.
He met his best man, the one who was loyal to him. He went out, and because of the lust of the eyes, he went out and he wanted this man's wife.
Right.
And because he wanted her so bad, he went and killed him,
Killers.
right? But because he did that, because the Bible, like Vito was, like he was saying, but where Jesus came from, he came from the line of Judah, and Judah was
One of
something he
them.
was saying, the
One of them.
mistress, and all this stuff. That's still, because it happened, it doesn't make it right. It doesn't mean that that's God's plan. It doesn't mean that that's the way how he wanted to be. That God just have a way of making things that's unperfect, making it perfect.
Right. Using whatever you
Using
can.
whatever it is to make it according to what he wants, because God
Right.
is sovereign. You know, so I would say that even though culture says that this is the way that you should have more than one woman, you should have 3, you should have 4, you should even be with who you want to be with, right? I would say go against culture.
Most definitely.
Go against culture. Find out what's the standard. And I
go by that standard.
chose to go with the standard of God.
That's
Now
right.
everybody have their own choice.
Uh-huh.
They decide what they want and live how they want. But at the end of the day, what's going to be the result? What's going to happen? If we continue to go by culture, we can continue to decay and mess up the
And
family
that's,
structure.
see where we going now.
And because we're doing that, look what's happening to the family structure now. Look what's happening in relationships now.
So B. Lord says lust is definitely a struggle for most men. Palmer Wells says, what's wrong with having multiple wives? Our ancestors lived this way and we were thriving societies. Times are different, so whatever works for each family couple should be okay. Now, that's a slippery slope, but we can dive into that. Monogamous relationships is a European concept. I just saying.
Yeah. Oh.
Thanks. Okay. Lord says, especially with this new wave of women intentionally going to the gym, wearing revealing things to get it. Oh my God, they almost naked in them gyms. Man, look here, you gotta keep your eyes, you gotta pray over your eyes when you go inside them.
Yep.
Men do have lust issues, but some women intentionally objectify themselves by dressing inappropriately to lure this attention and then complain about it. That's it. We've been
That's what you
speaking
were
about it.
saying earlier.
Yeah.
Yep.
Having more than one woman depends on how deep your pocket is, like Neo. Right. Well says, I could barely handle one woman. I can't imagine having to deal with the attitudes of more than one woman. Hats off to the men who can handle more than one wife. I stay saying that. You know, man, the idea of having more than one woman is always appealing because we think we're getting more nookie. What? When this one ain't more free up, we get that one. So men always want to have an ample supply of different bread. So that's what the lure is get us in for more than one woman. But that woman ain't coming there with a mouth pin up.
Right.
She ain't coming there with a belly empty or no headache. She coming there with every attitude she had before. She bringing that along. And 2 women in one house. I know if you all ever was a
Women don't get along
experienced
that
that.
well.
Nope.
Either.
Nope.
I don't know what they did back then, but I think they just had more servitude back then.
Yes, they were more
Awesome.
submissive. They knew their place.
Yeah.
But this modern woman, you don't do it. But back to Vito. God already had his design, like you alluded to. Who we can go by, the world standard or God's standard?
Right.
The world standard depends on where you are, which country you in. Some countries, the women in charge.
Right.
You know, some tribes, women run the show. Some countries, they going right along with this rainbow coalition, the alphabet crew. You know, so that's part of culture that they dictating, saying now, man can be with man, woman can be one. So who we
And
gonna
who's
follow?
to say that they wrong?
Exactly.
If we go in by culture, who's to say that
So
they wrong?
we got to go by one standard. And God, from day one, it was one man for one woman. That's why he only created one Adam, one Eve. He didn't create 2 women. He created one. So from
It's
design,
very funny though, like to see how it was if Marshall be alone, and then he pop up 2 women.
yeah, choose what
Adam
they are.
probably might have been like, Lord, take it out.
Take it all. Yeah, so and it is in the Bible, and God he permitted some things for a certain season. And each is his submissive will and his sovereign will. But he always had a design. One woman, one man. That's it. That's all he had it. So, okay, we could go on to a next example if you all got in. If you all want to go for another struggle for man.
Let's go. You got it?
You got it, man.
Okay.
Go on.
So,
Bring it.
being a good example for our children. Sometimes we have to do this from the outside because we aren't with the moms. So we have to try to parent our child from the outside. And then that works against some of us because the mom have a problem with us. So now she weaponizes the child against us. So we have to fight through that struggle to try to be there for our child in spite of what the mother's saying, what she's doing. So we sometimes I see men have to actually, it's a real struggle, pushing past the nays out there. You know, because the child, 9 times out of 10, the child stays with the mom. The dad have to go out and start over, whether he choose to or not. And then the child stays with the mom and she has the majority of influence over the child. And if the mother is jaded, she definitely can try to turn the child against the father, especially if she knows that father really wants to be there for his son or child. So that's a struggle for us, trying to be the good example and then just trying to be that example from the outside. And then society telling us as men what we should be. And if we don't know, it's a struggle.
And I agree with that. Even in my house with my kids, just trying to say the right things is hard. You know, and when I get mad, sometimes some things come out that I shouldn't say.
Yeah.
You know, even the way how I talk to my wife.
Yes.
You know, your kids, they looking at that.
Yes.
And I noticed one day with my boy, how I just talk to him. I see him, I'd be like, cool, because you know, like with the boys, you rough them up a little bit, and then the girls, you talk to them a little softer. You know, so I go on my boy and I say, pick up the shoes, boy, hurry up, go pick up the shoes. You know, I do something like that. And then I realized I saw him doing that to my younger daughter. Hey, pick up the shoes, do it.
Yes.
And I'd be like, hold on, bro. You don't talk to her like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then where he get it from?
Exactly. Exactly,
Where he get it
right?
from.
Pick
He
it right
get
up from you.
He get it right from me. So that's a struggle for us as well. And I only could imagine in some of the homes where the relationship isn't good. In some of the homes where you got single parent home where the guy is coming over
Right.
to see his kids
Yes.
or trying to take his kids, and then he got to see how the way the father and the mother treats each other, the way their
Right.
relationship going.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a struggle as well.
Yes.
You know, and that's why we have this toxic environment.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, and then you have social media, because our kids, they like glued with these phones in their hands, right?
Yeah.
So they look on social media, and they have this movement going around now where women saying men aren't necessary, or you know, everything a man does is toxic. What they say, this toxic masculinity, and it's being spurred on by this feminist movement because they really think men aren't necessary and tell you they need us.
Right.
Right.
You know, so and so your children being on social media is being exposed to that, and here you come along. Now you have to fight against that to program them or reprogram them
Yep.
from the foolishness they listening to.
Yep.
So it's a struggle trying to provide a good example for our children.
Even with that, now there's a lot of deep fake videos too. As in, a lot of people are using AI to say certain messages like as if there was real people. So you wouldn't
Yes.
even be able to tell if it was a real person.
Boy, that's
And it's
scary.
getting better and
That's
better. I was
scary.
watching stuff in the past couple of days, and it's showing you like these human beings. Well, see me even seeing it.
Yeah.
These persons who look like human beings on camera doing the same thing, holding the mic. What do you think
Yes.
about this? Well, I
The
think
crowd's walking in behind it.
yeah, everything. So you could easily take in what the AI is trying to sell us, or the person using the AI is trying to sell us. But the kids are more impressionable because
Yes.
they already grown up in this era of just seeing it, and that's what's happening.
Right.
This is true. I believe it. I down for it. And the people who look like me or who I look to aspire to be are saying that.
Right.
And they ain't even real people.
They ain't not even real.
So you have so many new struggles now as men that we have to face as we try to work through, I guess, being fathers that are not with the parents, that are with the mother, or just being a father figure in someone's life.
Correct.
I don't know kids, but I do think about how the students I teach, my nieces and my nephews, think about what I do with the time that I spend with them, because I know what I remember from growing up. I know what things I hold in myself against my parents, siblings, or whatever, whoever did something to me.
Right.
So I try to be cautious, like you said, on what I do or think about afterwards, and watch how they react to it, and probably see if this is an opportunity where I have to go and apologize, but at the same
Right.
time, explain why.
Right.
Because sometimes we could say and do things and even get to the point of apologizing, but never show enough humanity in that without losing your authority or your
Right.
place.
Right.
You know, without becoming that friend. You know?
I try really hard to be an example everywhere I go,
Yes.
because I learned that I'm always on stage.
Yeah. You're watching, boy.
Always on. You always on. So I try my best the way how I dress, the way how I try to represent Christ, the way how I try to represent my family. I, by far, am not perfect.
Right.
Mhm.
I know I am not perfect. Even for drinking.
Mhm.
You know, I had one parent told me, he was like, the child is off age. You know, the parent, he was like, my child could never come and talk, but daddy buy me a drink. Or we in the same bar drinking together.
Right.
This child off age, he said
Right.
he letting him know, me and you, we
No
ain't
company.
company.
Ain't no company.
We don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, even like that's being a good example.
Right.
You could be off age, but bro, I ain't drinking with you. Now,
Right.
some people may not see that as an issue, man. The child off age, what's wrong with them?
Mhm.
You know, having having a
Teaching them
drink.
that, but
Yeah, right. You understand what I'm saying? Now, some parents might be cool with it.
Right.
You see, my daughter asked me the other day, because you know she 18 now, but you know we was at a little party. She one of her school parties, right? Most of the children there were old, so we at the table. They was must even champagne or wine or something.
Mhm.
Like that. I don't know what it is. She's like, Daddy, I could get something to drink. Well, well, now you drink, she can drink, not when I there.
Yeah. Not in front of you.
You know, not in front of me. Now, mind you, drinking isn't.
Yeah, it ain't a sin,
It
once
isn't a sin.
right.
You know, it's done once it's done in
Getting drunk,
moderation.
right?
It's
Yeah.
fine.
Getting
You
drunk
know,
is the
but
sin, right?
I just wanted to know that that's not something that
You,
that
you're
I
the one for.
approve of.
Right.
And I don't drink. Let me just say this. And I don't drink not because I scared to go to jail, or I scared because then one can judge me, or I just don't do it because I just don't want to dishonor God. You know, if I do it, I'll do it within the privacy of my own
I
home.
was just going to say, so
Let
I
me
was
do
about
it
to
then.
ask you if so you
know?
feel that if you drink, you
know?
dishonoring God?
Right. You know. Oh Lord, that is good.
No, 'cause I don't feel
Yeah.
everything has to be done in decency and order. So I don't feel having a drink is sinning.
No,
You
everyone's
just got to know.
convictions is different.
Right.
You know?
Welcome to Let's Talk Caller. We're talking about life through a man's eye, part 2. What you have to say on that conversation?
Just me going again.
Hey, Vito, go, Vito.
Jason, you ain't been a part of this show for too long now.
I need to bring you in, put your own chair in, hey.
No. We just not ideas. Share like me and you when we together be funny up. So I you know that?
Right.
So, but I just called because I see me was talking about doing stuff with your kids, like drinking. I to be honest, anybody don't know me knows that I free. Like when it comes to makeup, now my two older kids, son and daughter, when they became a certain age, the first time they drank was with me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me explain my reason for that. I ain't gonna allow them. I didn't want to allow them for them and their friends to go and experience or whatever the case is. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I did that. The blind leading the blind. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It was a different affair. So I realistic when it comes to make it. I realistic. You kids can do things, they can try things because we all go through it. Now, my thing is the guidance. You understand what I'm saying? Now, to this day, both of them in their 20s, they don't go out, they don't party, they don't have no bunch of friends, they complete opposite of what I was. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And I feel like my whole thing is like, but we gotta be realistic with our kids. Your kids, they're gonna be curious, they wanna try things, so I will guide them. And I out to them, like, they ain't drunk, or even if they get drunk, or let's say if they was drunk, or they going through that experience where they like, boy, I don't do that no more. But Daddy was there to protect them. Daddy was there to make sure, hey, baby girl, nobody put nothing in your drink and carry you. Because you take an experiment. When kids have this urge to do something, whether you believe it or not, you know, the parents thinking their kids away in school and, oh, my kids just studying. They ain't doing nothing. And then they be so surprised when something happens and be like, what you mean? No, I can guide my kids. And that's how I feel about it, because we live in an era where we allow the word and social media to do what we supposed to be doing. So that's why I say, and I know I can, like I was saying, he say, he ain't do it, that's fine. It works for him as a friend. But I want them parents, nobody, because we grow up with old school parents, where they really don't guide you and teach you. That's just the reality. We grow up like old school parents, they did their job. But certain things we have to find out on our own. I just prefer to be that parent, and like you guys, like I say, to this day, both of those, all the kids, son and daughter, they don't be out partying, they don't drink, they don't have a bunch of friends. They actually, they going, like you say, they going, and I always tell them, I'm proud of them. Because me at their age, I was a terror.
Right.
I was a habit. And you know, they always tell me, boss, you always got us. You understand what I'm saying? So I graduate that I doing this. But I go back. I watching the show. I enjoy it. That's another input.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Vito. We appreciate it.
Appreciate your call, brother. You know,
Yeah.
girls tend to do a better job at handling situations, especially like drinking and when you're going out, better than guys. And like I said, there's no right or wrong way in handling your kids in a sense, so in the aspect of drinking. But I won't do it. You know, the Bible says everything is
Yeah.
permissible, but not everything is beneficial.
Right.
So to each his own. Whoever
Right.
decides to do it, it's just that I want my daughter. Will she drink? I believe she will. Has she ever snuck a drink? I believe she did.
Right.
But I just want, I want my daughter to know that, hey, that's not the way we do
That is
things.
right,
around
right.
here, You know, it ain't wrong. It's not acceptable.
You're just doing your part.
Oh, yeah, I just doing my part.
Right.
And then what's gonna happen? Who knows what's gonna happen long
She
term?
got to find her own way.
She
They
know,
will
right,
find their
she'll
own way.
still
They'll
find
find their own way. The
But
thing
it's
is,
up to parents to what?
lay that foundation and
Lay that foundation and guide them. So I just
Guide 'em.
trying my best. Like
That's
I
all
say,
we can
I'm
do.
perfect.
So Bahamawell says if you can have more than one wife, a woman should be able to have more than one husband. Ooh,
That's a deep one.
ouch. Most women don't understand the burdens of men, the burden of expectations and the burdens of expectations of men. Yes.
Yeah.
Now that we can jump in that one as well. Jay John says we are at a place in society where so much is broken. It's up to the men to lead the charge to fix it, from the home to the laws. That's right. The Lord says I don't feel like having a drink is a sin or dishonor at all. If that's the case, we're gonna go down a deep rabbit hole of things that are dishonorable, that we are partaking in. But being not sober and overindulging is a sin in regards to everything. All right, we got you. Overindulging, that's right. Everything should be done in moderation, balance. So I even forget what I'm going to say.
Expectations.
Their expectations, yeah. But before we jump on the expectation, my third point I have for some of the struggles for men is submitting to God. You know, as men, we are taught that we should have all the answers. And the toxic men say that you don't need to listen to anyone. So the men who we would have grown up around, like, but you don't need to go talk to nobody. You don't need to listen to nobody. Use mine. Figure it out. Do it on your own. So you have to now go into this environment where you now actually submitting, giving all control and taking your cues from somebody other than yourself. For a man who thinks he's in control, that's a struggle. To say that, hey, I need help, or I gotta listen to somebody, I feel that's to submitting to God. I think that's why a lot of some men don't come to church, because they wanna always have this perception that they are in control. You know, I don't need to go ask nobody for nothing. I control my destiny. But now the Bible says, no, you gotta submit to God. Right. You gotta come to Him for your cues and get your lead from Him. And I think some men have a struggle with that. I don't know if you all feel that. I mean, y'all have anything to say on that?
Yeah, I think it is a struggle for men to submit. I think one of the hardest things for us to do is to try to bring this flesh into subjection.
Yeah.
You know, because we have power, because we think we could wake up in the morning, because we working and we think we making our own money and we have strength and we have health, we think we doing it on our own.
Yes.
You know, so even that could play on our mind, the thing that, well, I got to go to God
That's
and,
right.
and worship and do this and submit. When I could do things myself, I could make things happen.
Yes.
You know, this flesh is lie to you sometimes. But you know, anytime the Lord want to have His way, He could.
Humble you.
Because He could put you on your back.
Yep.
He could,
Quick. You know how to do that quick.
Just what
Humble
to
you
do
quick.
to get you to humble yourself. You know.
As men, you finished?
Go on.
J. John says, as men, we should be the ones to teach our children what are the boundaries. Yes. Set the foundation, train up a child in the way he should go. And that's probably to your point, what you're saying with your daughter, both of you guys are saying, you know. So now, stresses of providing. In a failing economy, working all day to provide a comfortable living, but not enough quality time at home. So you gotta, as men, we gotta try to find that balance. Your child crying, they need these books, or this need to be paid. Your wife need to get stuff done, or she need groceries inside the house. You got your one job ain't pulling in enough money, or you waiting for people to pay you. You can't tell that to your child. The child hungry. The bills gotta be paid. You can't tell the creditors, hold on, I waiting for this money. And so you find yourself, some men find themselves getting 2 jobs to try to provide. But then now he's out of the home. He can't spend that quality time with his family. So now you have the family saying, Daddy, you gone again? The wife, well, honey, we ain't doing nothing in a long time. You ain't never here. I feel so alone. I feel neglected. But he has to also provide and be home. But the money he making can't do it. So what is that guy supposed to do? That's a struggle for a man. And I don't think some women, or I know kids don't understand that.
Right.
But then the wife should understand, but sometimes, you know, she's human too. She wants to be loved. So, boy, but when she's hungry, she wants to go make that money too. So how do you do it?
Yeah, it's a real balance. It's a struggle, and I don't have the answer. The only thing I can tell you is each situation is different, and we just have to determine what is more important.
Yes.
Is provide more important, or is it spending time at this moment with your family more important?
Yes.
So depending on what you see, is how you gotta handle it, you know. But it's a balance. If you gotta wake, buddy, wake, right? But sometimes you can't wake all the time, because then what's gonna happen when you can't wake? You got this family right here on the side that you neglected for all these years.
And they ain't
That
gonna
needed
give you
this time that's left in the dark. Like, let me give you an example. Of a particular person. This particular individual, a young lady, she just wanted her father's love. She just wanted to be with her father and whatever have you like that, right? So this young girl, father was providing for her all her life. Whatever she needed, she had.
Right.
She could have get. But if you look inside this young girl's house in the photo album, there's no pictures with her and her father.
Wow.
None.
Wow.
And all she wanted was a touch, you know, I love you. But the father just kept providing. Just kept providing. So the young girl went to counseling because it was really eating her up inside. And when the father found out, he was hurt.
Right.
He was like, well, how could you say that I don't love you? How could you say this? How could you say that when I provide with you?
Breaking his
and
back
I'm
to
doing
provide.
all of these things. It's like they couldn't
that, right.
understand what was happening. On one end, she wanted the love and you just to be here and the support. And then on the next end, he's just thinking, well, listen, I giving you the support.
Right.
I giving you the finances. I giving you everything you need.
Best things in life,
So,
right?
yeah. So at the end of the day, there's this big broken relationship because the dad didn't spend the time that the daughter needed. But he thought he was doing well by just waking and providing and giving her everything she needed. You know?
Right.
That's a serious thing.
Yeah. We gotta know how to strike a balance. And I can tell you what could help with that. I don't have the answer, but I can tell you what help with that, your relationship with God. Because he would see the struggle and he don't want your family to be in any kind of lack. So he would help provide a way that you could meet both obligations.
Right.
Right, I agree with that too. I mean, even though I don't have like children, I know, for example, I mean not for example, I know on the other hand, when you think about how that plays out, if the man is unable to provide, one of the first things you would hear around the place is, he's not a good man.
good.
No
Yep,
man.
no
He
good.
know
Or
what
he's-
kind of man you is.
Right. You can't even provide for X, Y, and Z. Right? Another thing to that point, when you talk about some fathers who only provide, I have learned, I think it was more so last year, watching a sermon with T.D. Jakes, is entitled Not Many Fathers. Powerful. It was different. He had like a few persons like in their 20s and their 30s sitting on the stage with him. So after he finished preaching, he then had them ask questions. So one of them was talking about the father providing but not providing a relationship. So he was saying a certain area of man had to work to provide to make sure that their family had most of they had. So it was that whole thing where I either provide or I be in your presence
Right.
the whole time. If I'm in your presence the whole time, then it's going to be a struggle because we
Right.
don't have this and that. And then you're going to look at me as someone who's lazy or who can't get it done. And the mother's saying the same thing. So I had to go and provide. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Right.
it's that dichotomy of these two things that you juggling.
Right.
Whereas whether a woman be able to make it with the man at home or not, she's still looked as the prize
Yes.
one and the one who need to be supported and uplifted and all that stuff like that. Because you're struggling.
Yes.
So we're gonna help you. With the man, you're struggling, get up.
That's
You're
right.
the man.
That's
Do
right.
that. You're supposed to do that. Da-da-da, da-da-da. And then it also forces men to be in strained relationships with people around them. Especially if you borrow.
Right. Oh.
Because like you say, the bills still there, the books still gotta be paid, the
Right.
uniform and this and that. But if you borrow and you can't even pay back to the people in the time who borrow, that's another strain.
Yep.
And sometimes they ain't even want to say what the strain is because they're trying to still protect you. But their emotions coming out and talking and saying slidings and tricky things.
Yeah.
And you wonder why the man acting a certain way when a certain person come around because they indebted
Yeah.
to certain people
Yeah.
trying to do certain things or
Yeah,
even
right.
their own bad mistakes.
Right.
And it just comes along like that. And it's so many tears to some of these things
Yes.
as it relates to the pressures that different men experience. And that's just what it is.
Right.
Bahama well said, let's extend that statement. Some men have a problem submitting to the wisdom and advice of a woman. Yes. I know who that I think I know who that voice is. I think the reluctance to attend church by men is due to improper teachings by some leaders. That's true. Too many churches cater to appeasing women to fill their pews rather than teaching the real message. That is true. The church has been feminized, and it's because they play on the emotions of the congregation. Some pastors play on the emotions of the congregation because as long as they can cater to those women can fill the pews, they can bring the offering and all that stuff. And that's what some churches cater to, fill in the church rather than teaching God's word.
Right.
Men deal with pride more than anything. The Bible is likened to a manual that has been around for centuries along with your village. Someone out there has been through your situations, right? So they're saying the village mentality, stop trying to let your pride keep you in isolation. Go and look for help.
Right.
Men struggle and looking for help. Fathers get a bad rap based on presence in the home due to the expectations of providing and do what is needed to provide for the home. We do, yeah. So like you were saying, if you don't provide, then he's a lazy man. But if they're working, then I feel neglected. That's why I had to go do what I had to do, but that's why you have to be careful on who you link yourself to,
Yeah.
Because if the father has to be working that much, now it's the mother's job to cover for him. Daddy ain't here because he has to work to provide for us. So she has to fill in and be more understanding. Until he gets home and then speak with him and say, hey, what could I do to take the strain off you so you could be home more? Do we need to cut back on stuff? So it has to be a partnership. Well, some men think the only or most important thing they need to provide is finance. Biggest lie ever told. What good is to provide and lose your family to neglect and leadership? You said that, right? You work, and by the time you come home, your family then gone.
Right.
You lose your time with them. There's a verse that says that a man is less than an infidel if he can't provide, which is often referenced by women to shame men into doing their duties. Or they can find their scriptures now. I mean, a lot of us guilty of that, getting scripture to suit our needs, right? So,
One more.
One more.
oh, one more. Bradley, that's because the entire world has become materialistic. Oh, man. Social media has done it. I mean, we were always getting there. Social media just speed it up.
Yeah.
I'm glad you all touched on this. Society and women puts men in a position where they can't win. If they lose time doing what needs to be done to provide, they are called neglectful and not present. Yeah, we mentioned that. Then if the man puts in the time at home, but not able to properly provide, he is considered lousy. It's hard for any man to win according to society. Yes, we can't do it right. We be in a losing battle. It's easy to win. Get the right woman and it's easy.
I think I know who this is. I think
You're
I
right
know
though.
who this is.
You're right though. You gotta find the right woman. You know?
But I mean, even with that last one, you say find the right woman. Sometimes men always had it in their own mind that they wanted to have a family, settle down, be there for the thing, but they don't want like to have that the dual homes
Right.
situation. So sometimes they try to make it work, but the person that they had a child with,
Right.
see they say it? So it may not be the right woman, but it's the woman of my child. I don't want my child to go up in the dual home and stuff like that, fighting to go by this one or
Boy.
another man raising my child, so I could try and make this work.
Right.
And then because is
You
it not the
made
right
that
person, you're
right.
bucking heads and stuff like that.
So that
It's another
means now
situation.
that is, and a lot of that going on. So that means for those guys who don't have any kids, y'all, what they say, prevention is better than
cure.
Oh,
cure.
you better
Do
believe it.
not lay down with a woman if you ain't prepared to make her your wife. Because once you laying down with her, there's a possibility a child coming. And I know of experiences where, like you say, you try to make it work because of the child, but that ain't the right one. And women speak to this all the time. They had a child for the wrong fella. They know they can't marry the guy, but they have a child for him. So what do you do then? So an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. So moving right along. Before we get into expectations, I keep saying that, right?
Yeah.
But this one, mental health. Now, we were supposed to touch on this last week. We have to touch on this before, because measuring up to standards is a long one, big one. So before we jump on the expectations, unrealistic ones, let's touch on mental health. There's no real support system for men. You know, like you mentioned, you said a woman going through something, people jump to her aid, oh, let me help you out. But when a man, they be like, boy, man up. What you mean? What you crying for? There hardly is any outreach for men. Women can find help far easier than a man. And you see it all the time. They have houses for battered wives, good homes for battered wives and battered spouses and all this stuff, right? And they have ministries to help women when they need food or pay rents and stuff like that. And it's like all geared towards the woman, right? And rightly so, because it's more single mothers out there who need the help. But that doesn't mean that there's no men out there who don't need help. Men out there need help. So, but especially for the mental health, especially for men are looked at as robots. Like we don't have any feelings. And we might do that ourselves, right? Because we like to play like we got it all together. Knowing that deep down inside, we crashing out. But we try to hold it together because we want to appear strong, that we have it all together. We being weak. We don't want to ask for help. One of the commenters said, our pride sometimes kills us. You know, so, and all that leads to our mental health. I think it was on a rise where men were committing suicide. Even now, male suicide rates are far above females. Males commit more suicide than the ladies do. Why? We feel we don't have people to talk to.
We don't.
Nobody cares how men feel.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff for women, but I mean, what's for the men? And it's a give and take. Sometimes we cause it because we really didn't build meaningful relationships and stuff like that. Like you said earlier, our pride, our ego. I just had a brother came to me 2 weeks ago, and you know what he said? A solid brother. You know what he said to me? He said, he have no friends.
Wow.
He said, I have no friends. He said, like, I don't have no one who I could really talk to like that, or if I want to go exercising with, or and I started to think, it's like, wow,
Sad.
that's
Yeah.
that's really sad. Like we aren't building meaningful relationships, But if we do have a friend, if we do have a boy or something that we little talk, little, hey, what you doing, man? What you
Shallow,
doing?
yeah.
Little shallow stuff. We don't go beneath the surface. We don't talk and we don't say to each other what's really going on.
Right.
Because sometimes you might even get embarrassed if you go and you say something out of the way.
Right.
But that's why I learned to do it. But I learned to do
Let
it.
it go.
Yeah,
Get it off the shoulder.
I learned to do it.
But
I have a community that supports me, that I know supports me, and I know I got some people that I could trust and I could talk to, and I let it out.
Yeah,
When
okay.
I was going through my panic attacks, I had someone say, "But you let your wife see you like this?" I say, "Yes, I just
You
can't.
have to.
I have to.
You have to.
I trying to let it out, I
have to.
trying to be me, yeah.
You know the crazy thing is,
Right.
I'm not used to hearing man say they have panic attacks.
Yeah, right,
Yes.
right. And we do.
And he say this on camera.
Right.
Yes, I tell you,
We
I let
do.
it out. I'm not.
You have to, because for society and us as men, the men before us, they make us feel that showing emotions is weak.
Yes.
Asking for help is weak.
Weak, yes.
As if we make out a steal.
Yes, yeah.
We don't have any emotions. We might not be led by emotions.
He
but we have
crying?
this- Yeah.
Him crying.
Yeah, you sissy.
Big
eh?
sissy.
Yeah, yeah.
Man up, boy.
What you been
Man,
crying about?
Check your boy crying.
Big
Big
bang.
deal.
And then you have people to join on that and bully this man
Yeah.
for showing his feelings, expressing how he feels that I need help. And that's all the work of the devil. That's all the work of the devil. To make us feel that God didn't create us without emotions.
Right.
He gave us emotions, but he gave us more on the logic side. But we have more emotions too. We feel, we get sad, we get happy, we get angry, we have anxiety.
Right.
We get stressed out when we can't provide, we can't make deadlines, we can't, when we see our children sick and stuff like that. I remember one time my boy got sick and I would trade places with him I cry like on the road, the drive home from the hospital, I cry like you swear somebody died. That's how much I cried, saying, Lord, put it on me. Because I was helpless. Your child's sick, you can't do nothing. I cry like a baby.
Yeah.
So,
We do a really good job of hiding our feelings.
Yes.
man. Putting stuff away. We could be in pain. We could be hurting
Yes,
deep down
walk around with a
inside.
smile.
People will ask us, "What's wrong? What's wrong with you? Everything good?" And we'd be like,
I good, man.
"Everything good. I good, man. I didn't feel suppress it." But
Yeah.
that is killing us on the inside.
yes.
I
When we look at when we look at it, one last point.
Uh-huh.
Women living longer than us.
Yes.
Yeah, that's statistically
That's it.
proven. Yeah.
Women living longer than
'Cause
us.
they ain't
We
bottling nothing
overweight
up.
ourselves. We keeping all this stuff in. Depression is a serious thing, man.
Yes. And that leads to body sickness,
Yes.
physical sickness.
Yes.
Mind, the mental, as the mind goes, so goes the
Yes.
body.
Yeah.
And so stress leads to high blood pressure, leads to cholesterol, leads to everything.
Yes.
Anxiety, leads to heart problems, everything because of this mind. And we just don't have that positive outlet, or we feel we don't have a positive outlet to be able to confide in somebody and just unbottle.
Let it go.
Let it go. Welcome to Let's Talk Caller. You are live.
So, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, caller.
Let me compliment y'all on a great conversation today. Y'all are really letting it all out, and everybody's being open and transparent, and I think that's really good. The point that y'all are making in terms of some men feeling like they don't have that community that they can talk to, that they can really be transparent with, and really speak about how they feel. I think that is a really important factor in some of the burdens that men carry. And I think it's that point that is critical from the perspective of the church. You all sound to be God-fearing men. You're in the church, but not only that you're in the church, you have a work circle, you have a friend circle, you have a sphere of influence that you have, whether it is in your family, in the gym you go to, the places that you hang out. You have a level of influence where you can have those relationships where you connect with other men to demonstrate that level of trust that when they confide in you on things that they're feeling or things that they may be going through, that is going to stay right there with you. Because I think the biggest thing about why men don't share is because, one, it comes back to bite them, whether they're
Yes.
coming back through their woman or
going to
to
say that,
another
yeah.
friend or whatever have you.
Yes.
You know, it comes back to bite them. It's used against them. And so
Yes.
they bottle up whatever it is they're dealing with, and they don't share it, they don't express it, and it spills over into other things, or it gets compartmentalized and it comes back later, and it can manifest in greater ways.
Yes.
So I think as men, you all have the ability to truly be one another's keeper.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and so that was just a statement. But great show. I'm enjoying the conversation.
Thank you so much, caller. We do appreciate your call and we do appreciate your input. That was deep. Thank you so much.
The book of Proverbs have a verse that says that I explained half of the verse, I know that, but a brother is born for adversity.
Yes.
You know, and she alluded to the point that we most likely have those circles, but I didn't always have those circles because, like, I had closer friends when I was in college, and when we graduated and we started pursuing our own lives, and we were living in different places. It wasn't easy, especially for me transitioning back home after living on an island with no people who I really knew, and then coming home and my friends weren't here. They were from here, but they weren't here. It was difficult.
Right.
You know, because you only could do things via your phone or something
Right,
when they're
right.
available, but it wasn't no like in-person thing. Because I always be seeing like, oh man, majority of my friends in Nassau.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and even at work, me and him are co-workers, so thankfully you could talk to him and so forth.
Right.
But those same people I talked about before, they're not here.
Right.
And there are certain things that people, other men are doing with their lives that I don't want to do.
Right.
So in order for me to befriend them, I'll have to be in their, sort of like
Yeah.
in their spaces
Right.
doing those things that I
That
don't
ain't
want to
you.
go
That
and I
ain't
don't
you.
want to do. So it still makes me feel out of place.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm saying, like, there are different type of boys, there are different type of men, and there's certain things I just can't gel with you,
Right.
you know. But I mean, I could be the light in certain situations, certain places, but I don't want to be there all the time.
Right.
So, and then as the next point, what I wanted to talk about is there are some resources and some organizations available for men, but to be real, when we see these things, I ain't going to that. I ain't tired. I will stay home and do that. Like the Man Cave or Experience. That's here in Freeport. You have different churches that may have a man's weekend or but if you're in a part of those churches, you don't have that sense to let me really be there.
Urge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be invested in.
And
Yeah.
then sometimes with a man, you can this also a risk too for us. Not a risk, but like preconception. If we as men try to be there for someone we just recently met, who's a male, like try to be like, hey, you should come along, whatever. It may seem too like you like mine. Why you giving me so
You're too
much
pushy, you're too-
attention?
yeah.
Why are you so
It's
concerned
weird.
about what my plans, my goals are? And then
weird.
you want to pray for me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it's a whole different rules of engagement like that too.
Yeah.
Because some man, he can see it where.
The enemy got us
But
mashed straight up.
let me just say this comment before you start reading. Caller, I thank you so much for calling, for coming in, for making that comment. Even the way how she came on, it wasn't aggressive.
You
or
can
it
tell the
wasn't a
maturity
way
in her
of-
voice, right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't a way of
Maturity.
attacking
It was
her.
sincere.
Right, you know, and you could understand, she could relate. She allowed us to, you know, to communicate. It was solid.
So
It was
she
a
know how to
really
talk
good-
to her man.
Yeah, it was really, so I could only imagine how beautiful her relationship is with her husband or
Right,
boyfriend
right, right.
or whatever
Yeah,
is
yeah.
going on. You know,
Right.
because she looked like she could relate
Right.
to men.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
Hats
Thank you,
off.
caller.
Like-
Hats off,
Yeah,
hats
the
off to
approach
you,
was
caller.
nice.
Yeah. And then B-Lord says, and then the mothers will happily take the credit of putting time with the kids for glory, while knowing the man was engaged in going out there doing what he needs to provide with all his time. Yes. She can take the credit, she can take the shine. Jay John says, we should teach our young men and women that their union is to be built to build the next generation. Yes. B-Lord says, I agree. That's why it's important and imperative to be with the right woman, because the wrong person can make it hell. I finish it off him. The wrong woman can make it difficult in all aspects. Okay. Is that the answer for the comment? Men fail, says Bahamas Wells, because they give in into the demands of a woman when they know they should stand firm. We are weak because we love sex than doing what's right. That's true. they got the power when it comes to that. That's what happened to Adam. That's what happened to Adam. I know that's why Adam eat the apple. Say, hold on, he can't give up that lucky.
Think with the wrong head.
Yeah, think with the wrong
Wrong
head.
head.
Wycliffe says we need more organizations geared towards young men development, physical education, mental health care. Yes, I do agree. That support system is needed, it's desperately needed.
Yes, sir.
Men stop having real friends and talking deeply with each other. We let women keep us away from each other. They say things like, you want to hang with the boys, like you like money. Yeah. Hey, manipulation.
Yeah,
That's that spirit
yeah.
of manipulation, that Jezebel spirit. They know how to say the right things. And the same women that say men need to express more are the same ones that call men feminine for using their voice. Yes, and hold on, before. How many of your boys know what your living room look like? How many of your boys been inside your house in the last year? When last you told your boy that you love them? That ain't gay, that's love, that's true. Now, mind you, we might not have to tell them, but we can show them.
Yeah.
You know, because I just learned how to say love now openly without feeling weird,
Right.
you know, in my older age. Because I didn't grow up hearing that. So I had to learn how to say I love you to my
And I
wife.
still can't say it.
And
I mean, not to
feel-
my wife.
No?
No, I mean, not to, I can say it to my, like to a brother.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be like, boy, I wouldn't say, boy, I love you.
Yeah, you say,
I'd
yeah.
say something like, boy, I
Yeah.
love you, bro. I'd
Yeah,
still
yeah,
highlight,
yeah,
yeah,
toughen it up,
I love you, bro. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Men are taught to take their blows and keep moving, sometimes surrounded by many, but can't trust to tell the story. That's right. J. John, exactly. It often feels like women only tell men to express themselves more as a fast sense of concern, but really don't want a man to use his voice because it may expose their faults. You know, that leads right into what I wanted to say. Women often say, why y'all can't talk to us? Why y'all can't talk to your woman? You know why? Because she said, like the caller said, it may be weaponized. It comes back at you, you know? Or the guy says, I just recently watched this. The guy say, listen, he sit down and tell his woman how he feels. But if it comes back out as an argument, if it feels like he's defending what he told her, then he won't ever share again how he feels. He shuts down. Because here he is sharing his feelings on her, or what she's doing, but now he's turning around and having to console her, or it turned into an argument. He said it ain't worth it, so you just keep it bottled up and go probably talk to somebody else.
And all you gotta do is just go against me once when I let the true feelings out. You do that once,
And
I
that's
shut
it. You
down
ain't doing it no
permanently.
more.
I can't.
And women need to understand that.
I saw a relationship strategy, right? Where it was that with you and your partner, but the partner is also your friend. So you approach your partner and be like, hey, listen, I need you to put your friend hat on right now. I want to talk about something.
Right.
So now it's like sort of like change the mode in which you relate to the person because as a friend coming to you, as a friend. Seeking, you know, a listening ear.
And you saying this to a woman? And she could do that? Go ahead. Continue.
This is something. Listen,
Continue.
I think it's something that has to be introduced as in a regular
Yes,
conversation.
yes.
Say, like, if we need to have X, Y, and Z, let's
Yes.
take off the different hats and
Yes,
put it on.
yes,
all right?
yes.
Just listening. So
We say-
now it sort of challenges them. Like, okay, I agree to this. Let me try and hold my tongue, or let me try answer as I would do if I was my
They say,
friend.
we listen and we don't judge.
Yeah.
Oh, and so, okay. Measuring up the standards, unrealistic goals set by society, by women's imagination, by our children, and sometimes by ourselves. During dating, we put up false expectations for these women who we date, and we try to swing them.
Got to sell the story.
They sell the story. And then by comparing ourselves to other successful men. So we have sometimes unrealistic expectations placed on us as men. Women have this, you ask almost any woman, what is a man supposed to be? Or what a man supposed to do? And they have a handbook. Like they recite the same thing.
Riddle it off.
But if you ask them, what is a woman supposed to do? Well, you get various different answers. So like all of them know what a man's supposed to do. Because in their head, They have this man made up.
But listen, you know, man, we supposed to be making what, 5 figures, 6
Oh yeah,
figures?
no,
Yeah.
six
figures.
You
six
only have
figures,
5 no more.
6-pack, and 6 feet tall.
Listen, we had this conversation with some colleagues of ours, and we was asking them, we was asking them, would they date a guy that's faithful, that's loving, that's a good provider, who could take care of their kids, all of the works, but he's making below minimum wage.
Minimum wage, yeah.
Would
or,
you go on?
or the man that is wealthy. And we said did we even talk about the physical attributes?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the physical attributes too. But he isn't present there
He's a dog.
like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like emotionally.
Oh,
If
okay.
you could be on his arm when he wants you around.
Right.
Or he ain't gonna be around like that.
Mm.
And some of them, I don't know how truthful they were. Some of them would say, "Oh, I would like to get the man," but they pause first though.
Oh, they had to think.
Yeah, they really think about that, like because women want a man who's gonna be there, who's gonna love them, who's gonna give them almost everything that they want, be there with the kids, blah blah blah,
Unrealistic.
But the package that they're looking for also comes at a higher earning.
Right.
You see what they saying?
Yep.
They
Listen.
want all of this unrealistic stuff that doesn't mention, like you say, you're a robot,
Right.
but sometimes the man that you're looking for understands the struggle, understands what it is that takes to really be there for a family, but only at this point, with his ambition for more, only at this point has this paycheck.
Right.
Some women ain't going for
No.
that.
No.
He's asking if they wanted, like, what if he was working in sanitation, making XYZ amount of money? He's working at Burger King. He's working an honest job.
Honest job.
Yes, not all
Would
this
you
stealing,
date this guy?
selling drugs.
He's a good provider. He's a good big provider based on his salary. He good with the kids. He can be there. He can show you love.
loving
family
Would you
man.
date this man? And a lot of them said no.
No. Yeah, and see, women don't know what they want. You know, they know what they want, but they don't know what they need. See, so it's unrealistic. They could tell you all this stuff, what they want, but that ain't what's good for them, you know? And it's like in their head, they have this guy made up and they think he exists. And even if he exists, he comes with standards now, because that guy has options.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
therefore, if I'm making all this money and I look this way, you ain't coming to me any kind of way. You better cook clean. You give it to me when I want. Or you demand and you want. No, that man have options. So therefore, you gotta meet his standard now. You come and you this what you want? Are you able to keep that man? Are you able to meet his standard? Are you the woman for him?
And that's what I heard this before too. Like you saying that women have all these standards for the type of man they want. What makes you think that you are the standard that what he wants?
Preach, brother.
That's like, yeah, something.
Yeah, they delulu. They little delulu.
It's so funny. I thought this was so hilarious. I saw something like scrolling on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, and this guy was asking the ladies. He was like, okay, ladies, would you rather $1 million or would you rather your man to have $10 million? You know what majority of them said? I rather $1 million.
Yeah.
Selfish.
I was shocked out of
Yeah.
my life.
Selfish.
And I'm like, if I have $1 million, you my woman, you straight.
That's right. You get 5, I get 5.
You
Yeah.
straight.
But this another thing too. When we keep talking about having the right woman, right? Even those men who choose the man that has more, they're bypassing the man who could be more because when they add themselves to this man, they add more value.
Yes.
Because the woman is a helpmate.
Helpmate,
Say that
support for
again,
that
say
system.
again, say that
woman is
again.
a help
No.
me.
If they have seen with the mindset to start over again, that comment was so
I don't read.
so fine.
The spirit make him say, he ain't know anything. Who do that? She could add to.
that has more. He could add more.
She could add
something
more.
like
If she
more,
join
man.
with him,
That
she
was
could
so
add more to
cool.
him.
Yes, she find a man that has a lot and earns a lot, right? I mean, she wants that. Instead of being with the man that can give her more while he have little because she could add value to him and
Yes.
increase
Right.
the revenue. Because even if she don't put her hand to the wheel necessarily of going out and making the money, what she what she brings in herself.
Right.
How she move around the home, how she move in
him,
his
right,
life, say to him, help be the voice in his ear.
Be his
in the,
peace.
In the, yes. Can support that man and
Yes.
cause that man to say, hey, I need better.
Step up.
I need to do
step.
better.
I need to do better for this woman.
Right.
I want to provide more for her so he can break his back to give her more because she's lifting him up.
Especially when he down.
You're right.
Because we gotta take some bartering when we go there.
Oh, yeah. Disrespect, that's one of our struggles. Last one. The disrespect on the job from the spouses, sometimes from our spouses and our girlfriend, our in-laws. So just how men use their hands as weapons physically, women use their mouths as weapons verbally. Society is quick to speak against physical abuse, but not so quick to do so when men are being verbally abused. If a man complains about abuse verbally or physically, it is minimized. He's told to stop being so soft, man up, and don't be a sissy. If a man hits a woman back, he's a punk. If he argues back when he's verbally assaulted, he's run on like a woman. If he expressed to his wife or woman that she hurt him emotionally, then he's too soft. If he expresses anger, he's toxic. If he expresses fear, he's a coward. If he sets boundaries, he's insecure. If he expresses sadness, he's weak. If he has standards, then he's misogynistic. If he expresses emotions, he's a simp. If he doesn't express how he feels, he's cold-hearted or distant. If you don't live up to this man, or if you don't live up to the man, they have peace up in their mind, then you're not a real man. So this is the epitome of manipulation, the spirit of Jezebel. Not all of these expectations were conjured up in the minds of women, men someplace on themselves. Most women want the man to be a man that can lead and take charge, to be assertive and decisive. Some only want them to do it at their convenience. Lead them when it's going to be, they don't mind you leading them when it's going in the direction they want you to go.
Yep.
But the minute she disagree, where you come from? You think I just lay by and listening to you. So men of this, like, he wants to be the man who he's supposed to be, but at her convenience. Like, so he has a fighter to be a man. And you hear a woman say, well, I need a strong man to make me submit. No, submission is given willfully.
Exactly.
Submission is not taken away.
Exactly.
So when God told the woman to submit to the man, that's something you willfully do.
Yep.
And she's supposed to do that whether the man asks for it or not. And the man's supposed to love his wife, whether she's submitting or not, because God gave both of us commands. Men love their wives, like Christ loved the church, which means we'd be willing and ready to die for them, provide for them, and care for them. Women are supposed to support, submit, and respect their husband in everything,
Yep.
without conditions.
Yep.
That's God's word. But we have a struggle, and we have to learn how to push past the struggle. So we're being told we still ain't finished, but we're being told to wrap up, and we go on. That's how deep this man conversation is. So we're gonna allow each of you guys to wrap up, and we can get out of here.
Yeah, we see men, we spell love, RESPECT.
Yes.
That is what
You
it is.
Yes.
respect us, we say you love us.
Yes.
And women spell love, LOVE.
LOVE.
Right? So you show us respect, we show you love. All right? That's just how it is.
Yeah, I don't know why you start off the show saying, "Oh, we're gonna do all we haven't do in this conversation." That's like, how you could relegate a man's conversation to 2 hours?
Not even 2 hours.
I mean,
an hour.
including last week.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And this hour, and
Yeah.
think we can get all
Well,
in
no.
there. There's
No,
so many
that's true.
layers.
So many layers.
Like you say, even though we said that women try to, things are so feminized now. We never got to fully talk about the stuff on how the men that we once looked up to and some of them are also being feminized. They make Usher wear a dress.
Oh my God.
They make all these type of people do these all type of weird things for whatever reason it is.
Oh wow.
But
Somebody calling it now, we wrapping up.
Mr. Medusa, can we take this call?
Okay.
Welcome to Let's Talk Caller. You are coming in on the last minute. Caller, go ahead. Listen to the phone, please, not the TV.
Oh, sorry. Y'all need to do part 3 of this. I just wanted to say that.
Part 3. I mean, we have a lot more to say, but I know. I don't think Cheryl can want to be a No, I think we can do that.
Yeah, y'all need a part 3.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you,
caller.
caller.
Appreciate it. You didn't finish? You didn't finish, eh?
All I'm saying is there are things. I just would like to encourage men to know that you're not alone, and with your emotions, what you feel, you can present them to God. David cried. If you read the book of Psalms, David crying a lot.
Yes.
He crying to God, asking him for this, asking for that, and he rejoicing as well.
Yes.
So even in our pain, our hurt, our praise is our weapon against Satan.
Amen.
Every thought that we have that is coming against whatever God has taught us and help us to realize about ourselves, we got to cast down those thoughts, talk down to them. There were times in the shower when Satan was trying to beat me down in my mind, and I had to shout. They say, "You will not have my mind in the name of
Yes,
Jesus." Satan,
yes.
like I beating on the
Yes,
wall the tile,
yes.
like I had to do
You have
it,
to.
especially
You have to.
sometimes I was breaking down, especially when a woman like caused me to feel like it
Question
wasn't even a
yourself. To
mind.
question yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's so many different things so many different layers to a mind that we as men have to like embrace
Yes.
and find the right people. And if
Mm-hmm.
you try to get in contact with Jason, if you don't have nobody
Yeah.
around you or something, someone is out there that
Yes.
can help you. Could be
Yes.
your brother
Yes.
in adversity. Because I know
Yes.
it's hard to trust, but if you could at least open yourself to it,
Yes.
then it could work out. And women, be very, it's really, be sensitive towards a man,
Yes.
to understand the man, appreciate him, and be there for him as he is sensitive towards you,
Yes.
or tries to work to be sensitive towards you, to be there to support you.
Listen, this is just a long time coming. We at some point we have to revisit the conversation to get the rest out. We might need another 2 shows because it's so much. Because men don't usually have this platform
No.
to express this, right?
Right.
But a plug right here. Freeport Bible Church, we have a strong, vibrant men ministry. Welcome all men. We talk about everything and anything. And what we say there stays there. Strictly confidential. Come alongside us and just join us, man. Trust me, you won't regret it.
When?
Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. In fact, it's going on now, right now. So we missed it. But Freeport Bible Church, trust me. Ladies, encourage your men to come out. Men, come on, let's do this. So in my wrap up, we have a generation of young boys coming up. What are we doing to encourage them to be better, to do better? What are we doing, both men and women, to break the cycle? Men, we are doing all we can to present our children, to be present in our children's lives. Fathers, are we teaching our daughters to be ladies? Are we training our sons to be real men, to be better than we are? Are we making ourselves available to help those children that have absent fathers? Mothers, are we supporting the fathers in their attempts to raise their daughters to be ladies and allowing them to train their sons to be men? If the fathers you chose aren't good examples of men, are you praying to God to allow you to find the real men to help provide the positive, male, godly figure that your children need? Men and women, we cannot be our best selves without God's Holy Spirit leading us. That's the first step. It won't fix everything, but it definitely makes it easier and more fruitful. Men, we have an extremely hard task ahead of us, but we can do it. We were built for this, and with God's help, we will succeed. Thank you for the men that have stepped up, never gave up, and continue to show up. The Father sees you. He will help you as long as you look at him and never give up. Men, we can do this. We appreciate you. So this has been another Real Talk. Thank you for sticking around. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the calls. We appreciate you. And we'll see you again next week, same time. Peace.
Real talk.